Heroes are an inspiring group of people, every one of them, from the larger-than-life comic book heroes you see on the big silver screen to the everyday heroes that let us live the privileged lives we do. Every hero has a story to tell. The doctor saving lives at your local hospital, the war veteran down the street who risked his lives for our freedom, the police officers and firefighters who risk their safety to ensure ours. Every hero is special and every story worth telling, but there is one class of heroes that I think is often ignored. The entrepreneur, the creator, the producer, the ones who look at the problems in this world and think to themselves, you know what? I can fix that. I can help people, and I can make a difference. Then they go out and do exactly that by creating a new product or introducing a new service. Some go on to change the world, others make a world of difference to their customers. Welcome to The Hero Show. Join us as we pull back the masks of the world's finest heropreneurs and learn the secrets to their powers, their success, and their influence, so you can use those secrets to attract more sales, make more money, and experience more freedom in your business. I'm your host, Richard Matthews, and we are on in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to The Hero Show. My name is Richard Matthews, and I am here on the line with Darcy Sullivan. Darcy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. So glad to have you here, Darcy. Let me do a quick introduction for people so they know who you are. You're the founder of Propel Marketing Design, which is a full-service marketing agency located in south of Florida, where all the nice weather is. You work with all sizes of companies, and you said before we got on the thing that you focus a lot on social media. Search engine optimization and getting people found online. So let's talk a little bit about what it is you're known for now. Why do people hire Propel Marketing? What is it that people know you for? What are you known for today?
So I think one of the biggest things is empowering our clients to handle their own marketing because, as you know, entrepreneurs, we're wearing so many different hats these days. And so I come across lots of new small businesses and entrepreneurs that are putting on the role of handling their own SEO, search engine optimization, and marketing, and they need a little direction because the truth is, they know their business, they know their customers better than any marketer or anybody out there. They just need to know how to put the pieces together to get the message out there the right way.
Yeah, and it seems like, most of the things that people need to be doing, they're very complex, right? There's lots of stuff going on. And
Yes.
I call it cloak and dagger marketing, right? Because it's like, unless you know what's going on, you don't always know all the little facets and what you need to put together. So you have to come along and help them see behind the cloak.
Yeah, a little bit of that. And then once they see it or hear it, they're like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Yeah. And so once you know, like, it's not that complicated, right?
Right.
But before you know, then it can be very, very difficult. So yeah, I assume you have a lot of customers who are very happy that you've helped them get that going. So what I want to talk about, though, is I want to talk about your origin story, right? Which is, I say every hero has an origin story. It's where you started to realize that you were different. Maybe you had superpowers. Maybe you could use them to help other people. So where did you start to develop or discover the value you could bring to this world? Like your entrepreneurial journey, how did it start for you?
Well, for me, it started in corporate America, as I think a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, their journey starts. And I started to realize that I felt like I could have more of an impact if I went on my own and I was able to help more people. And really, like I said earlier, help them, empower them to hone in on their own abilities for marketing because, again, they know their products and services better than anybody else.
So how long were you in corporate America for?
A little over a decade.
And was there like some sort of like kickstart for you that you were like, you know what, I think I'm done, and you want to make the transition?
You know,
Or
I
organic?
kind of ended up in one of those situations. I had left one job for another job that was supposed to be better, and I got there and it just wasn't the right fit. So I'm like, you know what, it's now or never. I've, been in corporate America for a year. I've learned so much and I was so grateful for that experience, but I just felt and just knew that it was time. And it was funny. It was the word that just kept coming to me was Propel, which is the name of the company. And it was just the vision that I had to help other companies propel themselves.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So do you have any advice for anyone who is in that space where they're working in corporate America and they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to go out on their own? You successfully made that transition yourself. Do you have any advice for someone who's thinking about that or maybe wants to make that move?
Yes, I say relationships are key, right? So I ended up, people that I knew back then still come to me because I was nice to them. We had a good working relationship. They knew that I was a qualified individual. So, there's nothing more important than relationship building, making sure that you leave on good terms when you feel like it is time for you to make that exit, and plan in advance, because, it's a very different life as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I know when I started as an entrepreneur and then went into corporate America and then left again as an entrepreneur, and making sure that the relationship was good when I left the company. I actually ended up being a contractor for them later, and they paid me for a number of years working with them. So keeping the relationships good was an important part of that transition. So what I want to talk about is actually, before I get to that, I had another question. How big is your team for Propel Marketing now? Is it just you,
So,
or do you have
no,
like a?
I've got a team of 5. I'm the only full-time salary employee, but the others help out as needed. And then, for contract or bigger plans, or, bigger projects, we bring people in specifically. So I think that really is one of the ways to scale and work your magic, is to just take on the team members that you need when you need them, and be able to also have those other great relationships with people that are adjacent to you, and what they offer, so that when you need to pair up and team up for projects, you can.
Yeah, that's absolutely that's the way I run my business as well. I think we're at 4 people right now, 1 full-time, 2 part-time, and myself. And it's a cool place to be. And I've got several relationships with other entrepreneurs that when something comes up, you have someone to, like you said, pair off with or recommend to someone else for things that are outside your wheelhouse, but still need to get done for the client. And I've noticed, I'm curious what your thoughts on this are. How important being a connector is for your clients, to connect them to the right things.
Well, to connect them to the right plan and the right process, absolutely, it's key. But I think before we mentioned, you asked briefly, like, what is so important when you are starting off on your own, and it does go to, if you can partner with people that are adjacent to what you offer, all of a sudden you can radically bring on clients rather quickly, because you've got their name associated with yours.
Yeah, I call that a transfer of power, right? When you can have good
Yeah.
relationships with people who have good relationships with your clients, they can use that transfer of power to bring you up and bring you into a game. And I've noticed, like, the best clients I have come from relationships like that, where either an existing client referral or another service provider. They're like, hey, this guy knows his stuff in this area. If you want to do that, hire him. And then those are like the easiest sales to close too.
They're the easiest sales. They don't question anything. They trust you, and they're a lot less expensive than going out there and advertising. And you know that they've already been weeded out, because whoever's directing them to your direction isn't going to send you somebody that they despise working with. So
Yeah,
they're usually some of the very best people to work with. Absolutely.
absolutely. That's a super tip for anyone who's listening. So what I want to talk about is your superpowers, right? It's what do you do or build or offer this world that helps solve problems for people? The thing that you use to sort of slay this world's villain. If you could nail down, like, what is Darcy Sullivan's superpower, either in helping your clients or in running your business? What do you say that is?
I would really say it's, again, just empowering them to know, okay, here are like, they've already got the building blocks. They just need to put the pieces together. So they already know who their target audience is. They just need it more clearly defined, and they already know keywords that people are searching for. But sometimes they misstep by, let's just say it's a chiropractor, and they are only focusing on doctor-esque words, and they're missing the whole, like, back pain and, like, the problem and the solution.
Mm-hmm.
So just putting everything together and being like, here's the guidance, you can do it. Because let's face it, technology has evolved so much that it doesn't take a genius these days to build a website, because you're not coding from scratch. It doesn't take a genius to set up a Facebook page. It doesn't take a genius to do a lot of these things. You just need a little bit of direction.
Yeah. So the picture that popped into my head as you were talking about that, I have a bunch of young children, so this will hopefully it relates well. Is the Legos, right? You have all the pieces to build a thing, And, my son has like this drawer full of Legos, and it's like you come along with a little book that's like, here's how to build the ship or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
that's your empowerment. Your empowerment is you can say, you've got all the pieces, let's show you how to turn it into something cool.
Or do you remember the Megatron?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So like when it comes to content building, which content marketing is huge, I always end up like directing and telling clients, okay, we want to build a Megatron. We want to take like this good stuff and this good stuff and this good stuff and just mush it all together and just build it and supercharge it.
So Megatron is the big character from Power Rangers, right?
No, was it? It wasn't Power Ranger. What was the ones where the Transformers, right?
Transformers.
I think
I don't
that was
know.
the
I can't
Megatron.
remember.
I keep talking about it and I'm
All
not
right.
even sure, but yeah, I think it's the Transformers. You're gonna
We
get
need to pay
somebody
more attention
commenting
to our
in here.
children's stories. Yeah, someone's going to comment and let us know. Which one's the Megatron from? Let us know in the comments on the video. It's either Power Rangers or Transformers.
We're probably
Um,
both wrong. That's gonna be like
yeah,
the
probably
best.
both wrong. It's like the what is it? The cartoon with the cats that have superpowers. I can't remember what that one is, but anyways. So superpower is empowering people to really understand what to do with all their pieces, right? So that they can have a really good, solid plan for their business, which is it's a really powerful thing. One of the things I tell my clients all the time is the 3 E's. You have to be really good at the 3 E's if you want to get new clients, and that's empower, educate, and entertain. And if you can learn how to do those 3 things, you'll never hurt for clients. Right?
Absolutely.
And I always tell them that of the 3, the most important one is empowerment, right? Because if you can help someone accomplish their goals and their dreams or whatever it is they're looking to do to solve their problems, then you'll never hurt for clients. So it's a cool superpower. The other side of a superpower, though, is your fatal flaw, right? Superman has his kryptonite. Batman's not actually a superhero, right? He just tries really hard and has lots of money. Um, what would you say your fatal flaw is? Something that has held your business back or that has kept you from really getting where you want to go? And more important than what it is what have you done to sort of mitigate it or solve it so other people who might have the same kind of flaw in their business can learn from you?
So I think one of the struggles when it comes to growth is having people help you. So building out the team, finding the right assets that are needed, but on top of that, it's letting them do it. And I'm not that I think I'm a micromanager, but it's just the letting go of, at that growth stage where you're so used to doing everything on your own, you need help, handing it off and like knowing that somebody isn't going to do something the exact way that you're going to do it and say it's okay. Like, giving that space, like it's okay the first time somebody interacts with your client on your behalf and it isn't you. It's okay. Like there's just that to me, I still struggle with it a little bit, and I'm sure, can you relate to that? Did you go through that as well?
Absolutely. So I just started hiring my team in December of this last year. Right. So it was just me for 9 years. Right. And the biggest thing that held me back from hiring people was I'm very good at what I do. Right. And I'm very quick at it. And I was always asking myself that question of like, should I hire this out or should I do it myself? And I always come down to doing it myself, right? Because I could do it better, cheaper, faster myself. And then like when I realized that was my biggest bottleneck, I guess, was that I was holding my own self back because I was holding myself to a high standard. And I realized that if I was going to ever grow, I needed to bring other people in. And the hardest thing was like, okay, I bring someone in and let them do something, and then I know it's not going to be the same way I would do it or in the same time frame that I would do it. It's probably going to take them longer because they don't have as much experience as I do. And then you let something go. And I remember the first time, and it was actually for this podcast. I had my my VA reaching out to people and getting people on the podcast, and I was doing that myself before. And I get a message back from someone who comes on a guest on the show that, hey, your assistant is fantastic. Like it was really a pleasure working with them, and getting on the show and whatnot. And I was like, all this time I've been doing it myself because I thought someone else would ruin it. And you realize that not only do they do a great job, they do probably a better job than I would do. And I'm seeing that time and time again. That not that I am not good at what I do. It's just realizing that the way that I do it's not the only way to do it, and it's not
Exactly.
necessarily the best way to do it. And as a CEO, right, when you make that transition from solopreneur to CEO, you start to realize that to your point on empowerment, if you can empower your staff
Mm-hmm.
to do a great job and to make good decisions and to learn and to become better themselves, then it starts to your business really starts to grow. And like, since I started doing it with my team, I think I have 3x my business this year,
That's
which is
amazing.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I exactly the same struggle. Totally relate. So do you have any tips on that specifically for how to loosen the grips, to let go a
So
little bit?
I think there's kind of a couple different ones. One, if you can find somebody to do the stuff that you're not good at, great. Like, let them do that. Two, if you can, like, if you can go ahead and if you're going to have somebody do something that you feel like no one can do it the way you can do it, have like a standard operating, procedure in place or a checklist, like have everything kind of good to go, or give them, work them up to taking over stuff. Don't just like dive in, and don't go the cheapest route. And I think sometimes it can be difficult because people usually want to get paid hourly, and then you sit there and you're like, ooh, well, but it took you X amount of hours and you didn't exactly do things right when you're getting started. So, decide if it's better by project or what works best for you.
Yeah. So I know one of the things that I did in that arena, you mentioned the standard operating procedures, is I started building SOPs for everything, and I actually have my staff building my SOPs, so I'll record them, and then they'll translate and put them into documents for me. But I do them specifically in a certain way that I think really helps. So like, if I have a task that needs to get done, I'll record an overview video and be like, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is why
Mm-hmm.
we're doing it, and this is the value it brings to the customer, and this is why it's important that we do it in these certain ways, and why we follow this procedure, right? So they have my thinking on what's going on. And then the each step of the process, be like, okay, here's step one. Here's what the step is. Here's why the step is important. Here's how you do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And here's what you should do next, right? So they have the whole process, and it's actually, instead of just giving them the steps of how to do a thing, you're actually giving them the thinking that surrounds the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've noticed when I build my SOPs that way is the people that I work with start to understand the way that I think about them, and then they start asking smarter questions and doing better work, and then they get to the point where you're like, I don't even need to manage it anymore, because they think about it the way that I do.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, so super cool. I love the idea of having really good SOPs in place for combating and letting go of things.
Yes.
Cool. So what I talk about next is your common enemy, right? And this is about your clients, right? So if when you bring a client in, if you could, wave your magic wand and remove one thing from their mindset or from their thinking or from something they're doing that is holding them back and that you constantly have to battle with, if you could just get rid of it so that you could get them results faster, what would that thing be?
So I think that, when you think of marketing and you think of SEO, I think people sometimes have the problem of they tried to get things done cheap before. And sometimes that can put them on the bad list with Google, or that can really like take them from a starting level of here to all the way back here, because we have to go in and fix things that maybe they decided, hey, I'm going to go the cheap route to get a website built. And so the foundation has just cracks in it. So I say that, that's kind of the biggest issue, is if they aren't like set on good foundation because they've either gone the wrong route before, or they have just too many voices coming at them. They're taking in too much information. It's an information overload. And they're like, but so-and-so says to do this, and I heard this, and I heard that, and we should do this, and we should do that, and just shiny object syndrome.
Mm-hmm. So it's the foundation is an important one, and then the other thing is just not having a focus on the things that are actually important.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I know the foundation one is hard, and I've tried to figure out how you can help people with that, but you realize when you get to a certain point in business, you're not like, it's hard to work with people who are beginners, because that's when you would want to get them to get a really good foundation set up. But at the same time, in order to do really good work for someone, generally you need someone who's past the beginning, right? Who's got some momentum, so you can help move the ship.
Yeah.
But the ship has some cracks in the boards, right? And it's taking on water. You have to fix things before you can go forward.
Absolutely. And I did think of just one more. One of the critical errors that I see, or issues that I always have to work with, is competition. So people are always staring at their competition. They're looking at what their competition is doing online, on social media, on their websites. And I can't tell you how many people come in and they're like, our competition's doing this, we want to do this. And I'm like, and I always say this, I've never seen somebody be the best in their industry by copying what their competition is doing. Because what happens is they don't see those like foundational elements. Like they'll be like, we want our website just like this. You can't talk us out of it. This is what our competition's doing. They get their website set up that way, and their competition already knows that style of the site wasn't even working for them. So they're already on to like revisions to a new one. Or they see that their competition posts something on social media or runs a particular ad, and it works for their competition's audience, but not for their audience. So it's really hard because we all look at our competition. So helping people get over that and realize there's more to it than what meets the eye is a challenge.
Yeah. I don't know how relevant this is, but I know one of the things we work with is clients who have physical products that they sell on like Amazon and other stores like Jet and Walmart and whatnot. And when they're going to release new products, it's typical to go and check out competition, right? And see what competition is doing. And there's nothing wrong with understanding what the competition is doing. But to your point, knowing what the competition is doing is not what makes you a great company, right? It's being able to, and copying your competition doesn't make you a great company. So one of the things that we'll do when doing product research is we'll look at another company's products and go through and filter all the reviews to the negative, 1-star reviews, and be like, where is the competition failing? Because that's an opportunity for us to come in and provide a unique solution, because good companies are made on unique solutions.
Absolutely.
How can you not copy what your competition is doing, but find out places where the competition is,
where the holes are
somewhere,
where
the holes are, and how can you fill those in the marketplace? So let's talk about the other side of that, which is your driving force, right? So just like Spider-Man fights to save New York, or Batman fights to save Gotham, or Google fights to categorize all the world's information for us, you guys probably have a mission, a driving force. What is it? What is it that you guys fight for?
I mean, there's nothing better than when you get that email or that phone call from a client that says, thank you, my business would not be thriving today if I had not listened to you. I mean, I'm sure you hear that all the time as well. But like when I get those messages of, oh, we're getting X number of clients in the door right now, and it's all because you helped us with the strategy of getting found online, you just, you help somebody bring their own dreams to life. And it's just, oh, I love it.
That is, it is one of my favorite things when you get a phone call. Like I remember it was a couple of years ago now, I had one of my clients, they sent me a picture of one of the checks they got for a high ticket offer that we just started running to. And I remember I was like, the check all by itself is above the poverty line in the US, right?
Yeah.
For yearly income, right? And like when you get one of your clients to be like, hey, look at this, I just did this because everything we've been doing together, you're like, it's the best. And then they went on that year and they did $786,000 in revenue from what we were doing, which is insane. And you love seeing success stories like that. And it's crazy cool. I love that feeling. I have another question that's related though. I have also had the experience, and I'm curious if you've ever run into this, where you help someone drive a lot of revenue or drive a lot of business into their shop, and they turn around and they're like, I don't like it. It's not the right kind of revenue, or it's not what I want. Like I remember I had a client we ran some ads for, and I think it was, we spent like $2,500 in ads, and then they brought in like 100 new patients and something like a 9,000% return on investment for it. But they were like, we don't like the offer. We don't like it. We're not going to continue. And I was like, I don't understand. They were like, well, the ROI was good, but it was, I don't remember exactly what was going on, but it was like, they didn't like that there was work involved in winning.
You're never going to please everybody. I mean, you never will. And I think that I haven't had that experience. I've had experiences where you're like, how could somebody like Oh, I remember the first time I got like a bad review, and I'm like, wait, I didn't do business with this person, and they're only giving me a bad review because they weren't happy that I wasn't as cheap as somebody else that they used before. So, you do have those instances.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to something like what you're talking about, when it's the ad, then, you can go in and reevaluate and say, okay, is there some reason, are we missing the target demographic? Do we need to switch an image? Is it just because it's on the client side? Is this just not the right client for us? Which, happens, right? Like we've all,
It ended
especially
up
when you're
not
just
being the
getting
right
started.
client, but
Yeah. And that's one problem when you
yeah.
are just getting started is it's hard to say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, well, there's money coming in. But then once you realize it's just not a good fit,
Yeah.
got to cut those cords.
Yeah. So it was a company that was used to referral business,
Oh,
and
okay.
referral business is very easy to close. And when we start running ads to cold traffic, they had a lot of people through the door, but then they realized that like you actually have to close business when it comes in cold. And they were able to close it, but it's more effort to close someone when they're cold. And they were like, we don't care that it was a 9,000% ROI. It was just hard and we didn't like it. And I was like, but that's how business works. So anyway, yeah, I've had both ends of that spectrum where you do a really good job for someone and they love it, and you do a really good job for someone and they're like, yeah, we don't like it. And I'm like, I don't understand.
And I think as an entrepreneur, especially when you're first starting out, like you take it so personally, and you
Hmm.
can't. You just simply cannot take it personally.
Yeah, and especially when you're starting out too, if you're like, luckily for me, I was at the point where it didn't matter to me if they didn't want to continue. Right,
Right.
I had a book of business at that point, but if it was like my first client and you really delivered well for them and then they just didn't like it, I could see how that'd be like devastating. You'd be like, I don't know what to do from here. I just
Yeah.
you
And
knock it out of the park and they're not interested.
yeah, and when we go and we bring on new retainer clients, we make sure, it's like the first month or two is just the testing period to make sure that both parties think that it's
Yeah.
the right fit, because there's nothing worse than getting stuck in a contract and being like, I can't handle this client. They are not what I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons actually why I do all of my contracts are month to month. Like we might do a ramp up period, but we'll do month to month after a ramp up period. And I always tell my clients that I was like, because there's a chance that you'll wake up one day and decide that you just can't stand the color of my eyes, and I don't want you to feel like you're locked into this contract with me. Either it's a win-win for us both all the time, or it's not something we want to continue. But like that's a difficult place to start in, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you have to have like your revenue solid so you can actually deliver and not worry about how you're feeding your kids this month. Um, so, anyways, I want to move on and talk a little bit about your hero's tool belt, right? So maybe you have a big magical hammer like Thor, or bulletproof vest like your neighborhood police officer, or maybe you just really love the way Evernote helps you organize your thoughts, or how you build killer slides in Keynote. Do you have any particular tools you guys use on a regular basis that really, really help you do what you do? Whether that's stuff to work with your clients, stuff to deliver for your clients, or stuff to bring clients in the door. What are some of your favorite tools?
Well, I've got a couple I'm going to throw out there. So number one, I would say, I realized time and time again, the process was the same. The process that gets results is the same. So
Mm-hmm.
we put together a new program called Ready, Set, Rank that helps clients that maybe can't afford for us to do it for them to follow the correct steps. So I would say that's
Mm-hmm.
definitely one of the tools. I would say another tool that we use for bringing on clients, and you already kind of mentioned this, is education. There's nothing better than, for us at least, than putting together webinars or having an additional lead magnet on a killer blog post, to get people through the doors and to change them from that cold traffic to the warm and kind of start to nurture them in. When it comes to tools we use every day. I don't know if this has been mentioned on there before, or on your show before, or if you use it. Do you use Grammarly?
I don't, but I've heard of it.
It is the best tool. If I were going to recommend like one tool to somebody that's going to make them look all of a sudden this much more educated, it is fantastic. So it's above and beyond a spell check. It helps you with your grammar, but it also overlays. So you can use it on your emails. You can use it on anything you're writing. So it, you know, those are kind of three very different tools, right? It's the tool that we give our clients. It's the tool that brings us clients in. And then just the number one tool, like if I were going to say this you need, it's that one.
It's Grammarly.
Yes,
So
you got to try it out.
Is cool. I've seen Grammarly. I use it for a little while, but I tend to disagree with a lot of the suggestions it makes. But I'm a high level writer myself, so but I could see using that for people. And you know, it makes suggestions where I'm like, it doesn't like a complex sentence structure or whatever, and I'm like, nope, I like it, leave it alone.
Yeah.
But anyways,
There are times when I don't always agree with it, but I find like if you're writing blog content and if you have like the paid version, then it'll say like how much, because I feel like a lot of clients, when they're just starting to blog, they look to other people and maybe overtake some of their information. So it'll tell you how much looks like it's already out there online. We don't want to say anybody's plagiarizing, but you know, it helps.
It'll give you like a copy score.
Yeah, it does something very similar to that. And it helps people that as they're just getting started to be like, oh, oops, or people that just don't feel like they're as strong of writers. It really helps them in this very content heavy world.
Yeah, I like it. I should probably use it more, just because I've seen it, I've got it installed, but I ignore it. So I should probably use it more than I do. The one I wanted to point out, though, that I think is really, really cool, I don't think a lot of people use this, is having a tool for your clients who aren't ready for your services yet, right? You mentioned having the educational piece, and just thinking about like the context for that is you have someone who's like, I'm really interested in working with you, and you say, hey, you're actually not quite ready to work with us yet, but here's a set of information that you can take and go, so you're like grooming a client, right? To be a good client. Like, here's the stuff. If you do all these things, and you'll be in a place where you'll be a really great client for us. And that's a great way to have something in your business for that.
And I totally agree. You know, I see people come in after they've been on our email list or they've attended a couple webinars and they're like, Darcy, okay, I implemented this strategy and these things that you're telling me, and now I'm ready. Now I need you to help me get it to the next level. So again, we're not like working with that cracked foundation. We're working at like a place where they already know, like, and trust me, and they've already been doing some of the work. So I don't have to like educate them. I can just go in and say, okay, you've already got this level of education. Now I'm just going to help you get it to the next level.
Yeah, right. So you're getting them to the place where you need them to be, right? So that magic wand, you created it, right, to help remove some of those problems initially. It's a really good idea, and I think more people should do things like that. But it takes understanding your business well enough to know where the ideal client is, and then what it would take to get someone to that spot. So you can be like, okay, here's where you'd be ideal for us. You're not there yet, and here's what you can do to get there if you really want to work with us. Which makes you guys kind of exclusive, and
it does. Now I do have to say that, you know, we I'm sure you guys do and other people do, we have different segments, right? Like we have the people that are like, we need help, we need guidance, and then we have the other group that's just like, just do it for us. So, you know, it does help specifically with one group. You find with the other group, it helps, but in a way you wouldn't think it does. So it helps from the fact that like I'll do a webinar and there will be somebody that just wants to hire you to do it. They don't want to be trained on how to do it, but they're going to look at what you're teaching other people and go, that person knows their stuff, and they just trust you more.
Yeah, you've proven that you can help them, right? By showing them that. That's actually my people ask me all the time what my sales strategy is. And I tell my sales tactic is to tell the people who are interested in working with me everything they want to know. Right? Like literally, I'll give you my templates. I'll tell you my process from beginning to end. I'll show you my entire process documents and be like, if you want my process documents to do all of this, you can just have them, right? And you can go forth and implement all of them. But after you spend 20 minutes going through all the things that they should do and the processes and everything that's going on, their mind explodes and they're like, there's no way I'm doing that. Like obviously, you've spent years and years and years perfecting all of this. And even if you gave me all of your process documents, I'd still be lost. So, yeah, I call my sales tactic is information overwhelm, um,
I like
expertise
it.
overwhelm. Here you go. Here's all the things you need to know, and then they're like, "Yep, I don't want to do that. You obviously know that. I want to do what I do, and you can do what you do." And then they hire me. So, yeah, same kind of thing is use information as education to help someone want to come, get over that hump of buying.
The Hero Show will be right back. Are you tired of trying to write webinars that don't consistently convert? How would you like to have a webinar that effortlessly created sales in your online business? You can. Introducing the Webinar Alchemy Workshop. Webinar Alchemy Workshop is an online masterclass that will help you write incredibly persuasive webinars for your online courses quickly and easily. Using what you learn in this class, you can build a webinar that educates your entire audience while still creating sales. For a limited time, you can purchase this masterclass for only $7, and you'll get the exact framework I've personally used to help my clients sell more than $1 million worth of online coaching and training just over the last year. Simply text the word ALCHEMY, ALCHEMY, to 444999, and I'll send you all the details.
The music is by Purple Planet Music. Visit www.purple-planet.com.
And now, back to
So-
the show.
Let's talk a little bit about your own personal heroes. All right. So Frodo had Gandalf, Luke had Obi-Wan, Robert Kiyosaki had his rich dad. Who were some of your heroes? Were they real life mentors? Were they speakers or authors? Peers who were just a few years ahead of you? And how important were they to what you've accomplished so far?
I know that we talked about turning points and how I got where I was, but I have to tell this story about college. So I went to college at Purdue University, boiler up, and they did what I thought was the most fantastic thing. In our program, your freshman year, you had this teacher, and he was like this tough as nails teacher. And we didn't even have a book for the class. We had to write our own book at the time. Like, that was how you passed the class. And then at the senior level, you had him again, but it was like almost like he was looking like eye to eye to you after you did your senior project, and like to shake your hand and look at you like an equal. That it just it was the most interesting thing. Like, it just, between that and the way that they taught us, it was to teach ourselves. And I think that's what kind of put me on that educational teaching journey through entrepreneurship, was just the fact that, when you have somebody like that at the beginning who's like kind of like stern, and like then you like realize that you've made it to that level, you're looking at them eye to eye, and that, yeah, that's it. I know that's a little different, but
it's an interesting take, and one of the things that I've really started to understand after doing a lot of these interviews with entrepreneurs is how important the skill of learning how to learn is, and how common it is in entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs have someone somewhere that taught them the skill of learning how to learn, which is not something that's typically taught in schools, right? You're taught information, you're taught specific things, but you're not taught the skill of learning at a meta level. And it sounds like that's one of the things that you were taught.
not only that, but not to put a plug in for Purdue, but they also taught us,
College.
yeah, they also made sure that we knew that once we did whatever we did learn, and that whatever we were passing on, that we should use it for the good. They were like, if you're going to be a graphic designer and, design to cure cancer, like, do whatever it is, take your knowledge that you've gained and make sure that when you go out into the world that you're using it for good sources.
I like it. I have more respect for Purdue now, even though I didn't have much of an opinion on them one way or the other beforehand.
Right? That's good.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I love that. So last thing we do on the show is I talk about your guiding principles. And it's basically this: what are top one or two things, principles or actions that you use regularly, like on a daily basis, that you think contribute to your success and your influence? Ones that maybe you wish you had, habits you wish you had when you started out on your hero's journey.
So I mean, I think it's to educate and empower, because when I was first started the company, sometimes it was easier just to do. Like, if a client said, hey, can you make this small change, versus going back to them and being like, hey, I can do that. You can do it too. Like, it's become one of those things where I think I realized that it's not always about doing. It's about, again, going back to the empowering and pushing somebody in the right direction.
Yeah, and I know one of the other things that like I do all the time is when a client asks me to do something, right? A lot of times I will ask them if they, you know, we'll open a discussion on it and be like, okay, why is it that you want to get this done? And what do you think it's going to do? Here's my experience, right? And actually educate them a little bit on, you know, maybe it's logo colors or placement or why we have copywriting done a certain way.
Right.
And I think it creates a lot of trust with your clients when you don't always just do the stuff. You actually talk about it and educate them.
I agree. And I think the same comes when it comes to scope of work. Like I've noticed some people will come and they'll say, this is what I just want an estimate on this. And you're like, well, I can give you an estimate on this, but this over here is really what's holding you back. You know, just walking them through and explaining and educating them on, you know, being open to provide them the best options available to them for them to get the maximum results.
And just like really educating them, or you're like, hey, this is like, I can do that for you, but I don't think that'll work, or I don't, you know, in my experience, it's not relevant, right? So here's some of the things that are relevant. And maybe we would like to, you know, start over here, and like you really educate someone through the things that are important for them. It helps a lot. So yeah, education, empowerment, totally cool. So with that, I want to do one last thing, which is the Heroes Challenge. Heroes Challenge we do on every show. It's very simple, and it's just this. Do you have someone that you have in your life or in your network that you can introduce to the show that you think has a cool entrepreneurial story? Who are they? First names are fine. We can connect for details later. And why do you think they should come on and share their story?
Oh man, I've got like a number of people running through my head right now. Do I have to just one?
Just one.
Oh, to narrow it down. Do I have to tell you now, or can I just email you?
Just a name and why you think they should come on the show. Why you think their story is cool? Because we actually make a little video for them and send it over.
Oh, you do? That is awesome. Gosh, my head's running wild now. You know, I have a very cool client who, her name's Lynn, and she has a company that makes popcorn.
Okay,
and
that's interesting.
She has made a company out of popcorn that is just phenomenal, and I'll get you her details later. But her story is interesting. She's just interesting. She's a new client that I've taken on, but the fact that she's grown so much by simple popcorn, you'd like her story. You'd like to hear from her.
That's really awesome. I always love entrepreneurs like that, like the ones that are like, you do this thing that you wouldn't believe. Like I remember meeting someone who's like, they do the underwater tile in fountains, and like all the hotels around the country hire them because they're the people. The thing, like someone out there is doing underwater tile, right? So anyways, there's always someone doing cool stuff. Yeah, so we'll reach out later and get connected for details on that. We'll invite her onto the show. For you, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Where can people find you if they are interested in getting SEO work done or getting help with their marketing? Where can they reach out? And then more importantly, who are the ideal clients to reach out if they're looking to get help?
Sure. So you can reach out. You can find us at propelyourcompany.com, and there's tons of resources on there, from blog posts. We're constantly doing trainings, and we do have our program that's open a couple times a year called Ready, Set, Rank, which walks people through how to run their own online presence. So you can check out any of those, and I hope to connect with you all soon.
So who are the ideal kind of clients to reach out? Is it like local service businesses or online e-commerce businesses? Who are the kind of people that you work with most often?
So most often we work, we don't necessarily work locally because our reach has really grown. It's either if you're just getting started or you need a fresh look on how to improve your online marketing reach through search engine optimization, which is your organic ranking on Google and those other search engines. But the size of the company, we deal with very small to very big. So there isn't anything very specific when it comes to that.
So when you say you don't work local, do you mean you don't work with clients who serve a local base, or you don't particularly work just locally yourself?
We don't particularly work just local. We have clients throughout the U.S. and a couple overseas, but we do have a number of clients in South Florida, but we deal with a lot of clients throughout the U.S.
Yeah. So I was just thinking that clients who serve a local business themselves might still want to reach out, because you can help them rank and stuff if their market is just local.
Absolutely. We work with a lot of clients on local SEO, which is them focusing on ranking online for their city and surrounding areas.
There you go. Cool.
Absolutely.
And so just to recap, it's propelyourcompany.com is where they can reach out. And you have your program that comes out a couple times a year, Ready, Set, Rank, which they can check out there. And you guys said you do regular webinars they can check out on your website if they're interested in learning some of these tactics from you.
Absolutely. And there's tons of blog posts and other content on there as well.
Awesome. So if you're looking to get good ranking, definitely check out Darcy and propelyourcompany.com. It's been really cool having you on the show. Do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom for our audience before we hop off?
Just go forth and be awesome. If you're thinking of leaving corporate America, plan ahead. And for those that are already out there being entrepreneurs, just keep on turning to the best advice that you can find and taking small steps. Eventually, small steps lead to really big things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Darcy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.